The ambush they attacked a human ship and the galaxy. Learned fear the cargo vessel Horizon's Edge moved through the silence of deep space like a whale gliding through dark water. Its hull was painted white with blue stripes, marking it as a civilian transport from the Terran Commerce Guild. Inside the ship, the air smelled of recycled oxygen and coffee. The engines hummed steadily, a sound that had become familiar to the crew over 3 years of service together. Captain Sarah Chun sat in the command chair, reviewing supply manifests on her datapad. She was a woman in her early 40s, with short black hair and calm brown eyes that had seen many star systems. Her uniform was simple, practical, nothing like the decorated outfits worn by military officers. She preferred it that way. Trade routes were her battlefield, and profit margins were her victories. Beside her stood First Officer James Rodriguez, a tall man with tired eyes and a coffee cup that never seemed to empty. He watched the navigation screens with the casual attention of someone who had made this run 100 times before. Behind them, 3 other crew members worked at their stations. There was Lin Xiao, the young engineer who could fix anything with spare parts and determination. Next to her sat Amara Okongwo, the communications officer whose bright smile kept morale high even during long voyages. At the weapons console, though the ship barely had any weapons, sat former military pilot David Park, the only one among them who had seen real combat. The Horizon's Edge was not a warship. It carried medical supplies, food synthesizers, and construction materials to colony worlds on the frontier. These were the forgotten places, far from Earth and the core systems, where humans were still building new homes among the stars. The ship had no heavy armor, no missile bays, no shields worth mentioning. It relied on speed and the general peace that had settled over most of the galaxy. Most of the galaxy, but not all of it. Sarah looked up from her pad as a warning tone beeped softly. David's hands moved across his console, his expression shifting from relaxed to alert in an instant. "Captain, we have 3 ships approaching fast. They just dropped out of faster than light travel directly ahead of us." Sarah stood, her heart rate increasing, but her voice remaining steady. "Identification?" David's fingers danced over the controls. "Scanning now." His face darkened. "Krell signatures. Pirate-class vessels. They are powering weapons. The Krell." Sarah felt ice form in her stomach. The Krell Syndicate was not a government or a species. It was a collection of criminals, outcasts, and hunters from a dozen different races. They operated in the lawless regions between established territories, preying on ships that wandered too far from protection. They were known for 3 things: brutality, greed, and a complete lack of mercy. Amara's voice cut through the tension. "Captain, they are hailing us. Put them through," Sarah said quietly. The main screen flickered to life. The face that appeared was not human. It belonged to a Krell war leader, a creature with gray-scaled skin, 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. The creature's name was Vector, though Sarah did not know that yet. All she saw was hunger in those alien eyes. "Human vessel," the creature hissed in broken galactic common. "You will stop engines. You will prepare for boarding. If you resist, we will destroy you. If you surrender, you will live." Maybe. Behind the creature, Sarah could see other figures moving. More Krell, different species, all armed, all watching the screen with predatory interest. Sarah kept her voice calm. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Horizon's Edge. We are a registered civilian vessel carrying humanitarian supplies. We are protected under galactic trade law. Any attack on us is an act of piracy and will be met with legal action." Vector laughed, a horrible grinding sound. "Legal action? Out here? Little human, you are far from your laws, far from your fleets. You are alone. Now stop your ship or die." The transmission cut off. James turned to Sarah, his face pale. Captain, what do we do? Sarah's mind raced through options. They could not outrun 3 pirate ships. They could not fight with their minimal weapons. They could not call for help. The nearest human military outpost was 6 days away at maximum speed. She looked at her crew, these people who trusted her, who followed her into the dark between stars. Send a distress signal, she ordered. Full spectrum, maximum power. Send our location and situation. Then destroy the communications array. Amara's eyes went wide. Destroy it? If we send the signal and leave the array intact, they will use it to lure more victims, Sarah explained. If we destroy it after sending, they cannot fake distress calls using our equipment. Do it now. Amara's fingers flew across her console. Signal sent. She hesitated only a moment before pressing another sequence. Array destroyed. David looked at Sarah. And now? Now we cut engines, Sarah said quietly. We surrender. We stay alive. And we wait. Wait for what? Lynn asked, her voice shaking. For someone to hear our call, Sarah replied. She did not say what they were all thinking. The chances of anyone receiving that signal in time were almost zero. The horizon's edge went dark, its engines falling silent. The 3 Krell ships surrounded it like wolves circling wounded prey. Boarding tubes extended, clamping onto the hull with metallic thuds that echoed through the ship. Sarah gathered her crew in the cargo bay, ordering them to stay calm, to not resist, to stay alive. The airlock exploded inward. Smoke filled the bay as figures poured through, armed with energy weapons and bladed tools. The Krell were not all the same species. Sarah counted at least 4 different alien races among them, united only by their choice to live outside the law. They moved with practiced efficiency, surrounding the crew, weapons aimed at hearts and heads. Vector entered last, his 4 eyes scanning the humans with obvious contempt. So few, he growled. So weak. Your kind always travels in small packs, easy to crush. He walked up to Sarah, towering over her by nearly 2 feet. You are the leader? Sarah met his gaze without flinching. I am the captain. Not any more, Vector said. Now you are cargo. Valuable cargo. Humans fetch good prices in the slave markets. Or perhaps we keep you for entertainment. He turned to his crew. Take them to the holding cells. Strip the ship of anything useful. We leave nothing behind. The crew was dragged away, their hands bound with electromagnetic restraints. As they were pushed through the corridors of the Krell ship, Sarah caught glimpses of their captor's vessel. It was ugly, brutal, covered in weapons and scars from countless battles. The holding cells were small metal boxes barely large enough to stand in. The crew was separated, each locked in their own cage. Hours passed in darkness. Sarah could hear Lynn crying in the cell next to hers. She could hear David pacing, his military training keeping him alert. She heard Amara praying softly, words in a language Sarah did not recognize. James said nothing, but she could hear his breathing, steady and controlled. In the command center of the Krell ship, Vector celebrated. He broadcast a message across the criminal networks, boasting of his capture. We took a human ship, he declared. They surrendered without a fight. Humans are weak, easy prey. Come to the Broken Fang station and see our trophies. The message spread quickly through the dark channels of pirate communication. It reached smugglers, slavers, and warlords. Most ignored it. Humans were common now, not particularly valuable. But the message traveled farther than Vector intended. It bounced off relay stations, was picked up by automated monitors, and eventually reached a place Vector had never considered. It reached the Terran Defense Network. In a military command center orbiting Mars. An officer noticed the intercepted transmission. He flagged it, passed it up the chain of command. Within an hour, It reached the desk of Admiral Marcus Webb, a man who had spent 40 years in service to humanity's protection. He read the report once, then read it again. His jaw tightened. His eyes grew cold. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me the Third Fleet," he said quietly. "All ships. Full battle readiness. We have a situation. Somewhere in the dark between stars, in a metal box aboard a pirate ship, Captain Sarah Chon waited. She did not know if her distress signal had reached anyone. She did not know if help was coming. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. The Krell had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked humans, and humans never forget. Asterisk. The response, the distress signal from the horizon's edge, traveled through space at the speed of light, a desperate cry cast into the void. It was weak, distorted by distance and interference, but it carried enough information. Ship identification, crew count, location coordinates, and one final word that changed everything. Krell. The signal reached a listening post on the edge of human territory 3 hours after it was sent. The automated systems flagged it immediately, routing it through military channels with high priority. By the time human eyes actually saw the message, the horizon's edge had been silent for almost 6 hours. Admiral Marcus Webb stood before the tactical display in the command center of the battleship Relentless. He was a man carved from stone and discipline, with gray hair cut military short and eyes that had witnessed the worst humanity had to offer and the best. Behind him, junior officers worked at their stations, the quiet efficiency of a war machine at rest. But that rest was about to end. The holographic display showed the last known position of the horizon's edge, a civilian cargo vessel carrying 5 souls. Webb had pulled up their files within minutes of receiving the distress call. Captain Sarah Chun, veteran of 15 years in commercial shipping. James Rodriguez, family man with 2 daughters back on Earth. Lin Zhao, engineer fresh out of academy. Amara Okonkwo, communications specialist who sent letters home every week. David Park, former Navy pilot who left service to see the galaxy in peace. 5 humans. 5 lives that the Krell Syndicate thought meant nothing. Admiral Webb's hand curled into a fist. "Commander Harrison," he said quietly. His second in command, a tall woman with calculating eyes, stepped forward. "Yes, Sir Dot? How long since the signal was sent?" 7 hours and 12 minutes, sir." Webb nodded slowly. "Assemble the Third Fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. I want full battle configuration." Harrison hesitated. "Sir, the Krell typically operate from mobile bases. By the time we arrive, they could be gone. We might be chasing ghosts." "Then we hunt ghosts," Webb replied, his voice like iron. "But we will find them. And when we do, we will teach the galaxy a lesson it will not forget." He turned to face his command staff. "Patch me through to Fleet Communications. I want to speak to every captain, every crew member." The communications officer worked quickly. "Channel open, sir." Webb's voice filled every ship in the Third Fleet, reaching into corridors and crew quarters, mess halls and engine rooms. "This is Admiral Webb. 7 hours ago, one of our ships was attacked. The horizon's edge, a civilian cargo vessel, was boarded by Krell pirates. 5 humans were taken captive." He paused, letting that sink in. "Some of you may think this is not our concern. They were civilians, not military. They were far from our territory, operating in dangerous space. Some might say they took the risk. The fleet listened in silence. But I say this," Webb continued, his voice rising. "They are human. They are ours. Every man, woman, and child who carries our blood, who speaks our language, who calls Earth home or any of her colonies, they are under our protection. The Krell Syndicate believes humans are weak. They believe we are easy prey. They are about to learn how wrong they are, Dot, In the crew quarters of the destroyer Thunderstrike, young Marines checked their weapons with new purpose. In the engine rooms of the cruiser Nightfall, engineers ran final diagnostics, ensuring maximum power. Across 12 warships, humanity prepared for war. We move in 1 hour, Webb concluded. When we arrive, we offer mercy once. Only once. If they refuse, we remind them why humans conquered their own world before reaching for the stars. Fleet command out. The channel closed. Harrison looked at her admiral with respect and something close to fear. Sir, the Krell station. If that is where they are keeping the captives, it will be heavily defended. We could lose ships. We could lose people. Webb's expression did not change. Then we lose them. But we bring our people home. Meanwhile, aboard the Krell vessel Dark Maul, Vecna was celebrating. His crew had stripped the Horizon's Edge of everything valuable. Food, medical supplies, even the ship's computer core. The vessel itself now drifted as an empty shell, useful only as scrap. The human captives had been transferred to the Broken Fang station, a massive structure hidden in an asteroid field that served as the Krell Syndicate's main base of operations. VEKNAR sat in what passed for a command center on the station, surrounded by other pirate leaders. They drank stolen alcohol and laughed about their easy victory. One of them, a reptilian creature named Scarith, raised his cup. To Vecna, he hissed, "The great human hunter." The others laughed and cheered. Vecna grinned, showing all his teeth. "Humans talk big," he said. "They build their fleets. They claim their territories. But when you catch them alone, they fold like paper. No fight, no courage. Just fear. What will you do with them?" Another pirate asked. VEKNAR shrugged. "Sell them, maybe. Or keep them as trophies. I am thinking of mounting their skulls in my quarters. Very decorative." More laughter filled the room. None of them noticed the warning that appeared on a monitoring screen in the corner. None of them saw the automated alert that flagged unknown ships entering the sector. The technician who was supposed to be watching the sensors was drunk, celebrating with the others. In the holding cells deep within the station, Sarah Chun sat with her back against the cold metal wall. Her crew had been brought together in a larger cell, all 5 of them now in one space. It was a small mercy, but Sarah was grateful for it. At least they could see each other, speak to each other, face whatever came next together. David Park sat near the door, his eyes constantly scanning for opportunities. James Rodriguez held a small photo chip, looking at images of his family even though the display was cracked. Lin Zhao had stopped crying, her face now set in determination. Amara hummed softly, a song from her childhood, something about hope and mourning like. "Do you think anyone heard our signal?" Lin asked quietly. Sarah wanted to lie, to give false hope. But these people deserved truth. "I do not know," she admitted. "We are far from patrols, far from regular routes. The chances are small, but not zero," David said. His military training showed in his posture, in the way he evaluated their prison. "Not zero means possible." James looked up from his photos. "My daughters are 8 and 10 years old. I promised them I would come home. I am not breaking that promise. You will not have to," Amara said softly. Something in her voice made the others look at her. She smiled, though tears glistened in her eyes. "I believe help is coming. I have to believe it." Sarah felt something warm in her chest, something she had almost lost during the long hours of captivity. Hope. Maybe Amara was right. Maybe humans were not as alone as the Krell thought. 8 hours after the distress signal was sent, the Third Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the asteroid field. 12 warships appeared like ghosts materializing from darkness. The Relentless led the formation, its weapons already charged, its shields at maximum. Behind it came destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels. all bearing the emblem of the Terran Defense Force. A blue Earth surrounded by stars. Admiral Webb stood on his bridge, studying the tactical display. The Broken Fang station glowed red on the screen, a massive structure built into the largest asteroid. Sensors showed multiple ships docked there, dozens of life signs, and significant weapons emplacements. Scan for human biosigns, Webb ordered. The sensor officer worked quickly. Sir, I am detecting 5 human signatures. They are in the lower levels of the station. Appears to be holding cells. Webb felt relief flood through him, though his expression remained stern. They are alive. Good. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their communications array, their weapons platforms, and their docking bays. Disable. Do not destroy. Not yet. He opened a channel. This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Terran Defense Force to Broken Fang Station. You are holding 5 human citizens against their will. You have 1 chance to surrender them unharmed. You have 5 minutes to respond. On the station, alarms finally began to blare. Vector stumbled to the command center, his celebration interrupted by the sudden crisis. The screens showed human warships, real military vessels, not cargo ships or scouts. His 4 eyes widened in shock and fear. How did they find us? He roared. The technician, now desperately sober, stammered. They must have tracked the distress signal. Sir, those are capital ships. We cannot fight them. Vector's mind raced. He had taken humans before, small groups from isolated ships. Never had anyone come for them. Never had humanity's military responded to pirate attacks with such force. He looked at the tactical display. 12 ships. Enough firepower to level his entire station. He opened a communication channel. Human Admiral, this is Vector of the Broken Fang. You have no authority here. These are lawless territories. We operate under our own rules. Webb's voice came back cold and final. You took our people. That gives me all the authority I need. You have 4 minutes, asterisk. Vector's hands shook. He looked at his fellow pirates, seeing the same fear in their eyes. Then his pride, his arrogance, his refusal to bow to humans took over. We are Krell Syndicate. We do not surrender to anyone. If you want your humans, come and take them. The channel closed. Admiral Webb sighed. He had hoped for wisdom, but he had expected this. Commander Harrison stood beside him, waiting. Sir? Webb's voice was quiet, but carried through the entire bridge. Target their weapons platforms. Fire. The Relentless and its sister ships opened fire. Magnetic accelerator cannons sent projectiles screaming through space at a fraction of light speed. Energy beams carved through the darkness. The Broken Fang station's defenses tried to respond, but they were designed to fight other pirates, not military-grade warships. Within 30 seconds, every weapon platform on the station was slag. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum as the Krell's defensive capabilities were systematically destroyed. The pirate ships docked at the station tried to launch, but precision strikes from human destroyers disabled their engines before they could even clear the docking bays. Admiral, Webb watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Now, send in the Marines. Assault shuttles launched from the Relentless, carrying 200 fully armed Marines in powered armor. They crossed the distance to the station in minutes, cutting through the hull with plasma torches and reaching the interior with overwhelming force. In the holding cells. Sarah and her crew heard the explosions, felt the station shake. Then they heard something else. Human voices speaking English, shouting commands. The door to their cell blew inward. Marines poured through, weapons raised, and visors reflecting the emergency lights. One Marine, a sergeant with a scarred face visible through his open visor, lowered his rifle. Captain Chun? Sarah stood, hardly believing what she was seeing. Yes, that is me. The Marine smiled. Admiral Webb sends his regards. Let us get you home. On the bridge of the Relentless, Admiral Webb received confirmation. Sir, all 5 hostages recovered. No casualties among our people. Minimal injuries to the hostages. They are being evacuated now. Webb nodded. And the Krell? Most surrendered once the Marines breached. Vector and his command staff are in custody. Webb looked at the broken station on his screen. Transmit the battle footage across all known Krell channels. Let every pirate, every slaver, every criminal in this sector see what happened here today. He opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Webb. Mission accomplished. Our people are coming home. He paused. And to anyone listening across the stars, remember this. Humanity protects its own. Touch one of us, and we all come for you. The Third Fleet held position for another hour, ensuring the rescue was complete. Then, with their people safe, they began the journey home. Behind them, the Broken Fang Station drifted broken and defeated, a monument to a simple truth. You do not attack humans and expect mercy. The galaxy was learning, and the lesson was written in fire. Asterisk.